Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I am attorney Wilberforce Agyekum at Ivy Law Office. I want to briefly touch on the SB1 visa. The SB1 visa is specifically for immigrants, U.S. immigrants, generally those who at least held a permanent resident or green card or conditional resident card. And somehow they traveled abroad and overstayed their visa. Typically, you are required to return to the United States within a year. If you are a permanent resident or conditional resident and you travel abroad, you have to return within a year. Very limited exceptions. However, that is the general rule, and you want to comply with that rule. If for some reason you are unable to comply with that rule and you overstayed the visa requirement to return to the United States within a year abroad, you have to go through, potentially go through another process, which is commonly known as the SB1 process for returning immigrants. This process is typically done through the embassy and the State Department. It does not involve the USCIS. And the embassy in the country you are in will generally let you know whether or not you qualify to return to the United States via an SB1 visa. So that is who you initially will have to go through. If there is a process and you have to follow it, they'll give you the instructions on how to follow those instructions in that particular country. Overstaying your visa, though, has to be based on reasonings that was beyond your control, which caused you to overstay the visa. Now, there can be various reasons. So it's case by case specific analysis here. But if you can show that the reason for you or your failure to return to the United States within that 1 year was due to no fault of your own, then you will likely be granted the SB1 visa to allow you to return as an immigrant to the United States without having to repetition for an immigrant visa. One of the benefits is the SB1 process, if approved for you to apply for an SB1 visa, is faster and more streamlined than the I-130 or the repetition for the immigrant visa. The process for the repetition, it takes a little longer. Now, examples of reasons which qualify as beyond a person's control and that prevent them from returning to the United States could be, and it's not limited to these examples, but they could be uh, a sudden illness or disease which does not permit travel. So you are overseas and you're stricken by a certain illness or disease that does not permit you to travel even to the United States. Such an event would qualify as a reason for why you are unable to return to the United States timely, which was beyond your control. Another example is a pregnancy where the doctor does not advise traveling. So you're overseas and you were pregnant, and for some reason, the doctor you were being treated with overseas has advised against traveling, which may obviously delay your time to return to the United States. Such an event may qualify you for the SB1. A family dispute during which your travel documents are withheld from you. If you can show that somehow, unfairly or wrongfully, a family or somebody else withheld your travel documents, which indeed caused you to miss your timely return to the United States, then this might be something that may qualify you for the SB1. You need permission to leave the country and you are not able to get it. So, for some reason, something's going on in that country. You need to be able to leave and you're not getting permission to get it. So, those are the few circumstances in which you would be most likely able or eligible for the SB1. Now, the requirements. What are the requirements for the SB1 visa? Not all those who leave the U.S. for 1 or 2 years are eligible to get the SB1 visa. In order to be allowed to apply and get the SB1 visa, these are the conditions that you must fulfill. One, you must prove that you were a lawful permanent resident with a legal status in the United States before you departed for the trip. You you were a lawful permanent resident with a legal status in the U.S. before departing for your trip. You had intentions to return to the U.S. after your temporary stay and still have the intention to stay in the U.S. Your stay abroad was temporary and you could not return due to reasons beyond your control. You are eligible to maintain an immigrant visa that you had before your temporary stay abroad. Now, if you fulfill all these conditions and can prove them, then you are eligible for the SB1 visa and can start your application process. Again, that process will be at the MVC or the embassy in the country where you are currently. So keep in mind, this process generally does not involve the USCIS. It's about a visa to travel and to re enter the US. Now, the question is whether you will be re entering the US as an immigrant who had a permanent residency or conditional residency card before you left. Also, sometimes in some cases, if you travel permit allows you to is still valid, you may be able to return even maybe sometimes in 2 years. But the 1 year requirement is generally strict, and a few exceptions, and the eligibility for the SB1 is what I just discussed with you. So, if you are abroad and you need assistance re entering and you're having difficulties, feel free to contact myself, Wilberforce Agyekum, at Ivy Law Office. You can reach me on the website at ivylawoffice.com, or you can give us a call at 301 276 0887, and I will be happy to assist you with your return back to the United States. Okay? All right. So that's all I have for you today. Thanks for joining me, and we will see you next week. Have a good rest of your week, everybody. Bye.